goodness. Amen. Listen, I am so blessed, honored, and such a blessing to have you on the Big Queen Talk Show on today. I don't know what to say. I know this is going to be great. This is going to be good.
I thank you for having me. I must say that video is awesome. That video, I'm like, oh, look at these pictures. These look fine.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I have a great guy that did that video for me as an intro. So I thank God for you. Thank you for that. I'm just so excited to have you on here today. Like, I don't know, I'm talking to an ambassador, powerful, anointed woman of God, award winner. I'm talking about like, what is it that you listen? Just to hear your testimony. You have been through so much. So we're gonna have to tap into that today. And I'm not gonna try to hold you up, but however Holy Spirit leads, that's where we're gonna go today. So I want to go ahead and read your bio real quick. So Sandrian Nelson-Moon is a catalyst for change, the global peace ambassador to the UN, Amazon bestseller author and survivor. Sandrian Nelson-Moon, MBA, is an author of Sublime Depth and Emotions, a 6-time award-winning elected community official, transformational speaker, business and life coach. Mrs. Nelson-Moon empowers and motivates women to embrace their past and aim to help individuals find their voice and purpose even after the pain through writing. The creator of the Right to Restoration book and course designed through her Inspire Life Academy to equip the masses to self-reflect on past trials, then write it out in order to find healing and restoration is groundbreaking. Familiar with rising from the ashes herself, Sandrian has delivered numerous empowering and motivational speeches and helped others to achieve their dream through publishing a book. Sandrian is a native Kingston, Jamaica, but a current resident of Suffolk County, New York, and is a public trauma advocate, wife, and future attorney. Come on, with a fierce passion for resurgence. When she speaks, people listen with their ears, heart, and soul because her transparency refreshingly transcends pretense. She is a walking miracle that inspires men to find their God-given talent and footing. If you want to contact her, get in touch with her, go on Instagram at Coach Sandrian Speaks, Facebook, Sandrian Campbell, Mrs. Nelson-Moon, website www.restoredbook.info and www.sandriannellmoon.com. And there you have it, Sandrian Nelson-Moon. A 6-time award-winning elected community official. Come on. So how do you get that? How do you get to become an award-winning elected official in the community?
I mean, honestly, I've done years of what we call work within the community. I've worked with a lot of nonprofits. I still do work with other nonprofits. Right now, we have a couple that I work with along with my own that's emerging. The ambassadors I work with, we work with other things, other organizations. Right now, we have missions that go into Haiti, Jamaica, Trinidad, Guyana. We've been working on a lot of different things. Ministries like feeding the homeless. Those awards actually from the Diabetes Association, I got those over the 15 years I worked with them. So it's a lot of different things that I recently got one from Ruth International organization. So there's a lot of different little things that I've been doing over the years.
Right. And so you are a catalyst for change, a global peace ambassador to the UN. Mm-hmm. How did you become an ambassador to the UN?
Oh, child, that was just God. I honestly was, it was just a door that was open to me because of the work that I've done over the years. And when I did it, it became this, oh my God moment. Like, God, I'm really standing here, you know. And I was invited to the training. I've done diplomatic training as well as protocol training. And from that, I ended up, you know, getting my license. We got our badges coming out soon. We go back in for training and speaking and other things coming up. And right now we're pushing, global initiatives from education to law to, changing, real change. And that is a big thing for me, making sure I'm really making changes. Hence law school. Because at the end of the day, you want to change these laws, not just regularly, not just locally. You want to change them internationally. These things affect everybody. So that's the point of all of this.
My God. Listen. And you said, and you're a transformational speaker, business and life coach. You said transformational speaker. That is part of the transformation, wanting to see change. And so I'm not just here just to talk, but I want to see change. And that's where all of that comes from. So I am just honored to have you here as a speaker. I know you said one of the things that you said you're walking miracle that inspires many to find their God-given talent and footing. So when we talk about, you said that you're a walking miracle. What are some of the things that you consider a miracle?
Alive is a miracle. That's the one. Just being alive is a miracle.
Right.
I mean, I've seen death's door a couple of times, and I think for that alone, I give God glory, because his purpose within me to be here, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
From car accidents to, near death, sepsis infection that nearly took me out a few years ago. The doctor looked at me and said, if you didn't come in here within the hour, you would have been dead in front of your children. I mean, I've seen, yes. I mean, I've been in a lot of situations.
What kind of infection was that?
Sepsis. They call it a sepsis infection.
Oh, wow.
So my kidney was infected. Bacteria got into my kidneys and other things. I'm sorry. Let me plug up this thing.
Okay.
Got into my kidneys, my blood. My white blood cells were very little. I mean, it was taking me out, and my body went into convoluted shock. It was something, girl. It was something.
Wow.
So in that situation, I've come out of abduction. I've come out of rape, trauma, molestation. I've come out of verbal abuse. I've seen a lot of things. So when you talk about it, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot to deal with. A lot.
I know you said that you were you was in a car wreck. You was having a discussion about your car wreck, and you said there's something that was affecting your spine and your back.
I've had surgeries. I've had 4 surgeries since that car accident. I have metal in my neck. I had knee surgery, shoulder surgery, back surgery. So,
You are walking.
What else, Cal?
Okay. So listen, we're not even done with you, because you got so much going on. Like when we talk, you said with the abduction. I know, we were talking about that just briefly before we got on. So when we talk about the abduction, do you want to talk about that? Would you like to talk about it?
Yeah.
So where was you? But let's start from the beginning. Like where was you? Where were you? And how did it happen, and what transpired?
Okay, so I was 16 years old at the time, and back then I used to go after we clean, on Saturdays. The culture, we get up Saturday mornings, clean early, or Friday nights. And I got up that morning. I was already cleaned the house, and there was a little young guy I was talking to back then, just talking to him. And we would hang out, sometimes. He didn't live far from the library, and my cousins didn't live far from it. So after going to the library, I stopped by where he was, and we hung out, ate some food, talked, and I was going home. It's around 4 something, 5. I was going home, and normally my curfew is like 8 o'clock. So I was going home, got off, and I was walking through a place called Halfway Tree in Kingston. It's like a huge shopping area, where the buses commune, like a big bus stop area with all kind of shopping centers around it. So I was going home, and I remember, they had people selling clothes on the streets, and I stopped to look at the shirt that I saw. And a guy says to me, he says, "Hey, he didn't have my size. I should come to pick up, to go grab the shirt from him. Come with him." And that's how they abducted me. So when they abducted me, they put me in a car. And of course, didn't know where I was going. Blindfolded me, threatened me. And I remember going up some stairs. And I remember one of them saying, "He's going to be outside the door." And the other one that was inside raped me. Of course, after threatening me that I wouldn't come out of the situation, I wouldn't live to see tomorrow. It was really scary. One of the, to this day, it's been the most scariest thing I've seen or been in. You're practically looking at your life in front of you going, "I don't think I'm going to come out of here today." And for me at that point, it was a lot because I had already been molested, and that took pieces of me. This took the rest of it, because the molestation is one thing to touch you, but to finally take everything that's left, whatever jewel you carried, they took it. And it wasn't like someone loving you or lovingly treating you a certain way when they were doing it. They're raping you. There's no patience. There's no softness. There's no tenderness. There's nothing but pain. I was bleeding. It was horrible. It was horrible. And when he finished raping me, he told me to go take a shower. So he's been doing this more than once. I'm gonna take a shower. And then tried to have conversations with me. And it was interesting because I was so scared. I was trembling. I was there, but I wasn't there, if you want to put it that way. I went into a whole different place in my mind. Just to survive the moment, the pain I was feeling, the uneasiness, the heaviness of the situation. And I think the Lord allowed him to say something to me that was so out of the box, but it was my saving grace. He looked at me and he said, "I want you to be my girlfriend." In a moment, I said, "What?" In my head, I'm like, "What the?" But I also recognized an opportunity in that question. And because of that question, I started convincing this man, I'm 16, convincing him the best I could that I was going to be his girlfriend. And I convinced for hours, girl. While he's talking to me, he's trying to have conversation. I'm trying to make him feel comfortable with me. Mind you, I'm disgusted with this guy. But in that moment, I had to pretend, a whole lot of pretend.
Right.
Like I wanted him, and I'm touching, trying to get him to say, "Hey, okay." They've done this before, not the first one. But somehow he asked me that question. And I used that opportunity, and they let me go. But not just saying go through the door. They took me back, put me in the car. I didn't see where I was going, and I was dropped somewhere. And my clothes were dirty. I was looking a mess. And I remember getting on a bus. I don't even think I had shoes on. I remember getting on a bus, and people were talking to me. I didn't hear them. I knew they were talking, but I didn't hear them. I was still in a lot of pain there. Still in a lot of pain. I was, like I said, I'm bleeding. Even after the shower, I didn't do anything. I was dirty. My head was gone. Let me say that. I was in a different place, as if in a trance. I get on a bus. People are asking, "What's wrong with you?" Something's wrong. I was crying. My face looked like somebody. My eyes were red, shot red, and I'm just in a place. And the bus is driving I'm not paying attention, but then I hear this guy just from nowhere, as if the Lord was waking me up out of that trance. I heard him say, "Boulevard driver," something like that, because that's the stop I come off. And in that moment, I got off and I literally just walked as if I was going, to my house. People still talking, people in the neighborhood, because at this point, people know me, they know me, know my family, and they see me in the place I'm there, dirty, messy, looking like something's wrong, and I'm not responding to nobody. I'm just focused. I get home. And getting home, I didn't get the response I wanted. That really hurt, because my grandmother was mad at me about curfew. I missed it. She had already called my dad. My dad didn't live with me. My mom was overseas. And I got home, man, and it was really tough for me because I didn't know what to say. I was numb. I was completely numb by the time I got to the house. And my grandmother started fussing at me about the curfew. And I'm standing there looking how I was looking. And in my mind, I'm like, you don't see me. You don't see me. I'm right here. And how I'm looking, everybody else can see something's wrong. And she starts fussing at me. And I remember just screaming. I fell to the ground and I just started screaming. I was raped. Somebody took me. And she stopped. She looked at me. And nothing came out of her mouth. And then she said, your father's on the way. For years, I was so mad at my grandmother for those same words. And they repeated in my head for years, over and over again. Over and over again. And I remember flat out just dropping to the floor. And I hugged the floor like I was hugging someone. Because everybody else just saw me standing there. And I looked, I don't know what I looked like to them, but I felt like I was so alone in that moment. I was even more hurt then because I wanted somebody to hug me. I wanted so bad for somebody to hold me in that moment. I got none of that. My cousins, they just stood there looking at me. My grandmother said what she said. And my father walks in from the door. This is him coming in mad, getting ready to beat my butt because I'm, way past curfew, girl. And when he saw the state I'm in, he said, come, let's go. He took me off the floor, told me, come, let's go. We went straight to the police station. When I got there, I had to relive the whole thing. I had to tell them what happened. They did a rape. They did the whole 9. Gave me pills, to avoid pregnancy, whatever that was. And it was a tough time. I saw my father cry for the first time in my life. But he didn't think, I don't think he knew I saw him cry. He didn't say much. He didn't know what to say. But it spoke, that alone spoke volumes to me. Years later, I recognized, from my grandmother to my father to people from our culture, it is crazy that we don't know how to operate in those spaces.
Right.
We don't know how to react to the victim. We don't understand what to do. We don't understand to have sympathy. We don't understand empathy. We don't understand any of that.
Right.
No one is taught, how to deal with it. We're taught, however, to act like it never happened.
Right.
Because I love my dad, but in that moment after leaving the police station, he asked me not to speak about it again. So you can imagine how I sunk in my stomach. He said, that was a Saturday night. I will never forget it. It was like yesterday to me, even now. I had school Monday morning. I went to school Monday morning like nothing happened. But I cried for months. I was in that bathroom all the time. My work fell. My focus fell. Every part of me started to fall apart. But that same night, though, when my father took me back home, I got a knife from my grandmother's kitchen, and she didn't even see that. I attempted suicide the first time that same night. I remember sitting in the tub, just beating my head against the wall, trying to kill myself. I remember sitting in the tub, pulling the knife from under the, I just sat in the tub and have the water run on me. And I remember grabbing the knife from the floor, just pushing it to my chest. But for some reason, sis, I couldn't push. He wouldn't allow me to push. I was a mess. Because see, now at this point, every pain I carried from molestation, hiding that for years, everything I carried just dropped on me that night. Dropped on me like bomb. And I think the devil had it out. That was the plan.
Right.
Let her take her life so she doesn't fulfill the purpose on her life. So I'm sitting there just going through it that night, man. And after that, I was never, my molestation was something that tore me because I hid pieces of myself. I became two people after my first encounter with that, because I was one person in the daytime to everybody. But when I was hiding at night, I tried to be the last one to sleep, the first one awake, so I wouldn't get touched. That didn't work. And you know how it is when you're trying to hide, and somehow this person still tends to figure out how to get to you anyway. Even you hiding can't save you. But because of the culture I grew up in, I couldn't go to my grandmother about a lot of things. I couldn't talk about even a little boy's high school, basic school crush. You couldn't have those conversations. You're not grown. Why are you talking about that? Go sit down. Back then it's different. It's 40 some years ago, or over 20, 30 some years. You're not having these conversations in my house. You're a child. Know your place. That's basically what it was. So I never went to anyone. I just hide. I tried to figure it out on my own at 9. Tried to hide. But then I realized over the years, it wasn't one person, it was two. And I never said anything. So when the rape happened, the abduction happened, I think every part of me was gone completely. I went into depression more than I ever thought I would ever go into depression. Went into depression. For years, I couldn't figure myself out. For years, I felt, I never encountered physical anything with anyone. After 16, my best friend at the time, her cousin, really liked the guy, and he was the one person, first understanding and explanation of love for me. And I thank God for him, because he allowed me, even in the midst of whatever I carried, to not pressure me with anything.
Right.
As the one person I talked to about my pain, not my parents, but that guy. And, it's sad that today I don't even know where he is. I think he's lost his mind somewhere. Someone gave him some mixture of weed or something, so he went berserk in the night. But he was the one person I shared with back then. But it was heavy stuff.
And it's heavy. All of that is actually really heavy.
It was heavy. My 20s weren't even, I couldn't even figure myself out in my 20s, man. My 20s, I relived that pain and the rape every time I tried encounters with anyone. I couldn't figure out what I was, who I was. My relationships became, everything factored from what I had endured. So I learned that over the years. And I remember, I think one of the turning points was in college. I dated someone, and I remember coming home scrubbing myself as if I was trying to scrub something off me. You know how people watch movies and you see people like they behave this mental scrubbing, and I went into fanatic mode. Right. And then I tried to kill myself again. And it was then that I said, something's got to give. I can't continue to live like this. That's where I tried to figure out, okay, I got to find some help. Not with my family didn't know what to do with me. People just saw me real angry for years and not understanding why I was so mad at everybody, And I mean, even when I came here after going through that, I had people that were close to family that were trying to come at me as a 16-year-old girl. They were making passes at me, grown men. So listen, when I tell people, you'll be surprised, man, what really happens to children, young women, girls. So my pushing myself to the place where I'm able to help other young women understand it's not their fault.
Right.
To change the laws, to change the things that happen around them, to change the atmosphere. My point and my hope with everything I do is to allow people to live, not exist.
Right.
There's a difference between just existing and living, and then that is the whole point of everything I do.
Right. When you were molested, was that a family, a friend, someone that you knew? Because a lot of times, whenever it's a molestation that occurred, it is not from a stranger. It is, especially as a child, someone close to the family, a friend of the family.
But when it happened to me, I was asleep. First time it happened, I was asleep. I just felt cold hands in places they shouldn't be, and I jumped out of my sleep, and I frightened the lights out of that person because they ran. And I saw the silhouette. I didn't see them. They would do that when I'm sleeping.
Right.
That's why I said I would try to be the last to sleep and the first to wake.
Right. Wow.
I would try that. But we had neighbors. We had people that, would hang out at our house late. And, there was a lot of things. So I wasn't sure who it was.
Wow.
But then it wasn't one. It became two. At some point.
Oh, wow.
It was a lot. My mom wasn't there. I couldn't tell my dad. I just couldn't. I didn't know how. I didn't know how to explain anything to anybody.
Right.
I just kept everything. So.
And all of that has led you. When you were talking about people coming out and to tell their story and to write books and actually when you write it out, it helps you to fight. It's kind of therapeutic,
It is.
Get it out,
that's the point of it. It is partly therapeutic, and I'm a stickler for telling people how I really did this. I'm really honest about what God has done for me, and I'm honest about the process.
Right.
It's healing is continual. It's not something that happens overnight. Continual means, even for me, like I said, I can tell you what happened.
Right.
Now, it took years to be able to say these words. It took years to be able to explain what happened to me.
Right.
In a context that I can talk about it. So you're going to go through different stages of the process, but healing is continual. The whole point is, as you go through it, it's going to get a little bit easier and a little bit easier and a little bit easier for you. It's a process. But for you to be able to recognize the strength and the person that you are, even after all of that.
Come on.
We would like to believe that our pain, our pain takes away us. We're not gone. We're still there.
Right.
We just buried behind that thing because it comes to cripple you. It doesn't come. If it can cripple you, then it's one. And if you recognize that, oh, you ain't taking me from me.
Right.
You're taking who I am, who's I'm purposed to be from me.
Come
Once
on.
you recognize that, then you can go ahead and pull you back to the forefront.
Come on.
In the back. And that's what your healing is. You throwing it in the back. It's still there.
Right.
It's a lesson. It's something you can pull on when you need to pull on what you got from it, the lesson learned. Like I said, everything God does and everything he allows is a lesson for you to be taught. It's a growth process. We all got to go through some kind of pain. Even the people who have not dealt with trauma go through something.
Right.
They got to deal with something. And you got to overcome something. Everybody's an overcomer. So while you're overcoming, it depends on what you're overcoming and then how you overcome it. So that's basically what it is. If we pile everybody in a box, man, everybody got something to overcome. And trauma is a big word. It covers all kinds of things. Your verbal abuse, that's trauma. Mental abuse is trauma. Sexual abuse, trauma. All of these things are trauma. How you were treated as a child, people mistreated you. These things are traumatic. It's the effect that makes it trauma. It's not what it is that makes it trauma. It's the effect on you that makes it traumatic. The long lasting effects of the thing. So that's basically what it is. That's basically what it is.
Have you thought about writing a book on your abduction?
That dropped in my spirit recently. That was another woman of God who mentioned that to me. She said, have you gone into types of abduction, an abduction in itself? Not a lot of people can live through that. So I think you got something special there. I'm praying on it. I'm gonna see what the Lord gives me to do with it. For right now, I've written about, my journey through the abuse, different parts of my abuse, and how I got through that. My new book, Restored, Journey from Abuse to Deliverance, has parts where I call life action principles. So as you're reading with me, I'm allowing you to go through certain processes with me. And I'm allowing you to, answer a couple questions for yourself. So we're going through the process together. You're not just reading my story. This is going to help you begin to open up and look at your own story and kind of see yourself, grab from me the points that matter to you. You know what I'm saying? And then build on those. So that's basically what the book is. And it's full of strategies, how to deal with your pain, how to, and I like I said, I really support therapy. It was a big part of my process. A lot of times we would think, like I said, writing, talking about it, they're two big things and big parts of you recognizing. And what I tell people is it's okay to understand that you're gonna have to look at this pain. You're gonna have to face it again. For you to get past it, you're gonna have to look at it in detail. You're gonna have to break it down. You're gonna have to tear it open. But this time you're coming at it from a different space. You see what I'm saying? You're gonna have to see it, feel it again. As you relive it, it's a part of the process because you're gonna have to face it. It's the same thing we talk about when we talk about drug addicts and people like that. Part of it is getting out of the denial first. This happened to me and it's okay. I'm gonna now face this thing because that's the only way you begin your process. To deal with it, you have to face it. So I know that it's tough for a lot of people, but it's a part of it. Just know that whatever you're feeling in that moment, that you have to go back to the story, you have to talk about it, bring it back up. It's a part of the healing. Face it, look at it, but just remember, you are not your pain.
Come on.
You are not the trauma. You are above and beyond that.
Come on.
A beautiful soul. The Lord told us he gave you a beautiful soul. You're fearfully and wonderfully made, regardless of what it is that you have lived through. What you are now is a testimony. And we all know how that goes. If you didn't go through a test, you cannot be a testimony. So that testimony is not for you at the end of the day. That testimony is bigger than you. And once I think I recognize that part of me, okay, I lived this thing. I walked through this thing. God, it tore me apart. But I am able now to stand up and help somebody else come out of theirs before they get to the place of no return. So for me, I wrote this book with the intention to grab people before they get to, how it is. We get to 30, 40, certain ages. We get stuck in our behaviors. We get stuck in our mental. We don't want to change. We don't want to grow. We become a cycle of repeated things. It's to grab you in your teens, whatever it is that you've gone through, into your early 20s, for you to recognize, look, I am more than that pain that I went through. I am more than that thing that I got. Whatever the dream is that's in me is still in me. The dream is still alive. Face these things, and then I can step into my purpose. I can step into the dream. I can step into the thing that he has called me to be. And that's all That's all it is.
Right.
God didn't give whatever the dreams are, whatever he's planted in you. These things are planted because these things are who you are.
Right.
The devil's going to send these things come across you because he wants you to pay attention to the pain. He wants you to sit in it, to dwell in it, for it to take you down.
Oh, yeah.
The point is, in the midst of whatever pain is allowed, God is showing you, wait, you are resilient.
Come on.
You are amazing. You are strong. You are everything I made you to be.
Right.
And then some.
And then some.
So pull on the then some.
Come on.
Pull on the then some. Pull up out of your stomach. Pull on the then some. Because guess what? Let me tell you something. If you ask me at 9, when I had the dream to be an attorney then, if you ask me when I went through the trauma, was I going to be here, an ambassador, getting ready to graduate as an international chaplain, getting ready to sit with heads of state where I can have conversations with people, to change laws, to go worldwide, travel to countries, make other women feel and recognize who they are, recognize who God has called them to be. If you ask me then, when I endured these things, I would have told you, who you talking to? That ain't me.
Right.
That ain't me. But because of the grace and mercy that he has afforded me, a man of God said to me yesterday, he said, Jesus is a gentleman. What we got to recognize is if we don't find a way to ask him for help, he's not just going to appear himself.
Right.
You got to want this thing.
Right.
You got to want the change. You got to look at yourself and say, look, I remember slapping myself in the face.
Oh, okay.
Wake up, sis.
Come on.
Get up. This is not who you are. This is not what you are. I did that while I was married. My first marriage. Oh, that thing put me in a place, child. Because see, when I met him, I thought he was going to help me get out of here. Whatever I was feeling, I was going to get over it through him. Because of him loving me, I was going to figure it out. No. That love started with me. Didn't start with him. That love started with me loving me.
Come on.
Me understanding who I was. Me understanding that everything that God had already planted was already sitting there waiting for me to take hold of it. Waiting for me to say, hey, okay, what's next? Where we going, God? Okay. You right here with me. What do you need me to do?
Come on.
What is the next step, God? What is the next movement?
Right.
I mean, I want everyone to be okay with your process, man. That process is only preparing you. And everything you go through, every trial, every situation is a training lesson from God. It's a for the things coming down the road.
Come on.
As we live our lives as Christians or otherwise, every single one of us gonna go through something.
Come on.
And the fact of the matter is, as you learn to live through certain things, you will learn that when other things hit you, okay, this hit me. I'm all right. I'm still standing. You will not take me down with you. You hit me, okay, it's gonna bounce. Things are gonna start bouncing off. Because what? You now understand how to deal with your feelings. You understand how to deal with your emotions. You understand how to deal with things that come on around you. You understand where your peace is and how to dwell there the right way. So whatever's going on, the chaos, it's not going to affect you the way it used to affect you anymore. But it takes time to get to that place. You know what I'm saying? It's going to take you some time.
It's amazing how all of that you went through as a child and growing up, and then when you became an adult and you start getting hits and stuff like that, you start reflecting back and say, you know what? I went through way worse stuff than this. And that one thing didn't take me out. This not going to take me out now. I've been through and I survived through it. But if I didn't lose my mind back then, if I didn't have a nervous breakdown back then, if I wasn't successful in suicide back then, surely this right here ain't nothing.
Sis, let me tell you.
Come on.
I think I recognized and I said, the Lord wouldn't allow me to kill myself. There are many times I tried. So there gotta be something
here.
There gotta be something he's asking me to do. I gotta mean something.
Come on.
Maybe not to other folk, but I mean something to him.
Right.
So for the fact that he wouldn't allow it, what are you doing, girl? He wouldn't allow the abduction to take me out. He wouldn't allow the molestation to kill my mind.
Come
He
on.
wouldn't allow the accidents, the near-death experiences, however many I've had, to take me out. So that tells me I am something that he's waiting on to take me in the place that he's prepared for me. So while he's preparing the seat, now I need to go figure out, God, okay, what is this seat? Where do you want me at?
Come on.
What is my purpose here? Got to be something. Many of us wonder how we got through. See, we don't even know half the time how we get through things.
Come on.
Plain, we will, oh my God, I can't figure it out. But then guess what? It gets figured out, don't it?
Oh, yeah.
It gets figured out every single time.
Every.
That tells you what? You are not existing by yourself.
Right.
You know, a man of God said over the weekend while I was in ministerial training and in church for anniversary, he said, the Lord places imperfect people on perfect roads.
Come on.
Let me tell you something. The road you're looking at is not the one he's created for you. See, that perfect road, sis, and this is how I translate it for myself. The perfect road that God has created, he already knows what's going to happen on that road.
Come on.
See, it's perfect because he's already made provision for the things that you're about to do while on that road.
Come on.
He's already sorted out the problems and the choices you're going to make because he already knows what you're about to do.
Come on.
He's already fixed it. So even whatever the devil throws at you, he already understands what's coming.
Come on.
Nobody from David to Paul to Peter, none of them are perfect.
Come on.
None of us are perfect. We never will be. And see, the Bible tells you he does not qualify perfect people.
Come on.
He qualifies the imperfect people. He qualifies the called. He justifies when you come in. So he already know what you got going on. He already been beaten. He done knows you done had a horrible husband and relationship. He done know whatever it is. But see, in you, the things that he needs to pull out of you, pull you into the place you need to be, are already sitting there. It's for you to say, God, I am ready. Whatever it is you got for me, put it on, open the door, let me in and tell me where you want me to stand.
Come on.
And when you stand in that space, there he will start opening the things that you need. You'll be surprised at the things he does. Don't ask me how I got to this. Because when I saw these doors open and I said, mighty God, how did I get here?
Right.
I didn't go through the normal. Let me tell you something. Nothing I've done has been normal channel, sis. Nothing I've done has been a normal channel. Okay? Nothing. Don't ask me how. I don't know. But when I lay myself in his hands and I said, okay, what do you want me to do now? How do I move left, right? How do I operate, God? Where do you want me to stand? And then I let him lead. And from that, let me tell you something, he has never done me wrong. And I don't think he ever will. So as I pour out to anyone, my thing is, as to strengthen you today, it is trust the God in you. Trust him. It's real hard to trust because we as humans, we tend to feel like we can control and we can sort out everything. We're going to fix it.
Right.
But we got to recognize we can't fix nothing. We don't have control at the end of the day. Let's be honest here. We don't have no control of nothing, sis. You don't wake yourself up in the morning. How you know when you go to sleep, you're going to wake up?
Right.
You don't know.
Right.
You take a chance. It's a risk going to sleep. Hello? People go to sleep and don't wake up. It's a risk going to sleep.
Right.
So for me, I'd rather go to sleep with a risk knowing that I'm in God, the place I need to be, than going to sleep without him. Hello? So when I wake up, I already know who got me covered. I don't take a chance on it. And we're in a season where we can watch the world going into all kinds of things, man. Why not do the thing that you have, the Lord has placed on you for years? Why not walk into that thing You know, it's fulfilling, not just financially when you walk into the things that you've wanted to do. You know what I mean, sis? When you can open your eyes and say, look, I am doing something I have been craving to do. The Lord has given me, and I am fulfilling that peace and that place I want to be. It feels that peace that passes all understanding. You can't buy in a store.
Right.
You can't. So don't give up on yourself before you even get started.
Come on.
You know, start the journey and let it put out. I've seen a thing going around on Instagram where even what's the pastor's name? Oh my God. TD. Pastor TD said start that business even if you ain't got 5 cents.
Come on.
Start that plan. You don't have nothing. You don't know how it's going to figure out, but you keep moving forward in that direction. And guess what? Somebody going to tell you yes, and somebody going to open that door. But guess what? For that yes to come, you're going to have to keep asking. You're going to have to keep going to it. You're going to have to keep working at it. It's not going to come overnight.
Right.
You got to be willing to trust whatever he's given you and then walk into it. And understand, you are not your pain. You are not anything. Those things, man, it's purpose. Figure out what your purpose is. What is it God has? For me, I mean, I can spend my days just pouring into people. I love that. I love being able to change somebody's life. Really do something for them. Give them something that makes sense. You know, I take it my business to, if I'm on the street and I see a homeless person, it matters to me that I do something.
Right.
It matters to me to be close. Like, I take that real serious. So whatever it is that matters to you, figure out what that purpose is. But your pain is only a precursor to getting where God wants you to be.
Right.
So that's the lesson in the book. That's the lesson I pour out into everybody daily. You are bigger than whatever you're facing.
Come on.
You are bigger than it. You know? And that's it. That's it.
This has been a blessing. This interview has been awesome. And I just love hearing your testimony. I mean, you had my entire attention. I was just like listening. I could listen to you all day because you have so many great music. I'm just listening. Like, this woman is just awesome. You are amazing. And I thank God for all that you've been through.
Whatever amazing I am is because of him. Nothing
I know
to do with
that's right.
Nothing to do with me. I am just, you know, the man of God said it over the weekend. He said, you spend your time just serving.
Right.
And the service.
Come on.
Will speak for itself. That's it. The service. My job is to bring souls to Christ. My job is to pour into people who God is and remind them that he is still sitting here with them. Remind them that he is just waiting on you. That is my job. And at the end of the day, my life is just an example of what he can do for you.
Come on.
Acknowledge who he is in your life. And that is it's that simple for me. Real simple.
I love it. I love it. Your testimony is phenomenal. And for you to still have a smile on your face, and you can still encourage others.
I keep a smile, honey. I keep a smile. Listen, you know, I think most of us, we need to count the blessings. Count them. You know, like I said, I could have been deep underground sleep. My children would have been without a mama years ago.
Right.
My blessings are numerous. There's a song that hits me whenever I hear it. Oh my God. What is the name? What's that song again? I think it said I'm trying to remember the words. Basically saying that, you know, the great things in my life the good outweighs the bad. You know? And that's how I measure it. The good things in my life outweigh the things I've endured.
Wow.
And that's it at the end of the day.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, my love.
Blessing ambassador. I love you. I love your spirit. I love the God in you. And thank you for allowing God to use you. You have been a blessing for those who are listening. Listen, y'all have to listen to this in entirety. Look her up on Facebook, friend her, follow her on Instagram, on Facebook, and check out her website as well. So on Instagram at Coach Sandrian Speaks. She's a motivational speaker. Listen, she loves to empower and they help people in all walks of life. So you got to look her up because she's about that. Because as you all see, when it come down to life, she had to conquer so many things in life. And so this right here is a life coach as well. Coach you through the things that you went through. This she's definitely one that can really minister to you from those aspects of being verbally abused, sexually abused, abused in other forms. She has been through it, like literally, you know. And so she's definitely one for you to look her up. I'll also go on Facebook and send Julian Campbell and Mrs. Nelson-Moon. And her website is www.restoredbook.info and www.sandriannellmoon.com. Look her up, follow her. Okay. And thank you so much, woman of God. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having me, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your time. I love you. God bless you.
God bless you, my love.